This is Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff on a week one NFL, week two college football back end slate.
It was.
I'm excited.
This weekend felt like all was starting to become right with the world.
It was definitely a fun weekend. Jim, I'm excited is so monotone that nobody, I think, believes you. You get more excited to talk about the offseason than you do to talk about football.
It was a little rough, okay? It was a little rough.
Oh, did you referee eight games in 4 days?
Hey, that was your choice, bud. That was your choice.
It was your choice to make bad bets, Jim.
I didn't make bad bets. I'm not even mad about the bets.
Not to be a Chargers fan.
Hey, it was hard to be a Chargers fan.
And
It's harder to be an Ohio State fan.
And a Bengals fan. Well, I think that's you making it that way.
That might be true. You know what? I'm not going to argue that point today.
Okay.
I only had really one football disappointment so far. I'm probably going to lose at least one of my fantasy leagues.
Today is Monday, September 11th, and we are all the way back, baby.
We are.
Texas is back. Horns up.
Honestly, just this week, horns up.
That's big.
And I'm not going to say they're back.
Oh.
I'm going to say they're warm.
Are they back? You have to take a side. Are they back or is Alabama done?
Worst choice, Jim. Question for Jim. Questions for the boys. Question for Jim.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Which side would you be on? I'll let you stew on it until we get to that game in our
Yeah.
All right. You make Alex and I make picks
all the time.
All the time. Forced choice.
Yeah.
You will have this forced choice. As always, thanks to all those interacting with our content and social media. Be sure to get in the mix. Give us your thoughts at Sports Jim Muff on Instagram and Twitter, sportsstuffw/Jim, Amerson Muff on Facebook, on YouTube. Interact with the betting stuff. Get into the stories. Type in your response on that mobile device. Remember, the betting episode comes out every Thursday. We're on a bit of a heater, so getting it out.
We are.
Getting good.
Spoiler alert.
Nah, spoiler alert. I mean, everybody knows.
Really spoiled. Yeah, if they paid attention and kept our records.
Right. Before we get into the week one games in the NFL, let's check in with our guru of officiating. As he has stated, he officiated 8 games in 4 days. Nate, how you feeling?
Tired AF.
Did you happen to see Coach Harbaugh this weekend?
No, I did not, but I got to see some youth coaches being youth coaches. It takes a new level of stupidity to be a youth football coach.
Overly intense.
Oh, overly intense, wanting a timeout with 2 seconds left in the game when you're up by 14 points.
What was the reason?
I turned around to that coach and I said, absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
He goes, I want to get my guys some experience. And I looked over, I said, you have 14 players on your team. They've got enough experience today.
And it's 2 seconds. It's one play. It'd be another thing if there were like 5 minutes left and he took a timeout just to get like his like crappy guys in for the last 5 minutes. I would get that. But
now, if he were losing and it was a 1-possession game, I'll absolutely give you that timeout. But when you're up 2 possessions with 2 seconds, no. Go pound salt.
Oh, it's not very nice.
And that's how Nate's doing. Nate is the guru of officiating. In the background at the Harper household, you heard the guru of glitter, the person who is trying to capitalize on some backyard brawl merchandise, Sam.
Hell yeah.
Harper and Company.
Anything you want to plug, Sam? You want to tell anybody? You just want to say yeah?
She said hell yeah, first of all.
Out there, I have new Country Road shirts that would be the perfect thing to wear for the Pitt WVU game on Saturday. And any other things that you need that are sparkly and fun.
What about shirts that say eat shit Pitt?
If you would also like a shirt that says eat shit Pitt, I could hook you up.
Should I wear one that's sparkly?
I can make
Sparkly
whatever.
eat shit Pitt.
A sparkly poo.
The person who wants a sparkly poo shirt is Alex, the medical degenerate.
That's me.
And lastly, the man who apparently has something to say this week about Ohio State. The capo of the Midwest Crack House, the Ohio State homer, Jim.
Hi. Hello.
Bonjour.
It's
Buongiorno.
Good to see you, folks. Good to see you.
Glad they can see you. All right, let's get into NFL Week 1. Starting with the Thursday game, the Lions traveling to Arrowhead to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. No Travis Kelce, no Chris Jones, no problem for the Chiefs.
False.
No receivers for the Chiefs.
Well, no, they were there. They just didn't have hands.
Right.
One in particular. MCDC and the Detroit Lions have other thoughts about no problem for the Chiefs, and Kadarius Toney couldn't catch a cold in a snowstorm. While Jared Goff, Amon Ross, St. Brown, David Montgomery, and the brand new Lions come out ready to take on the world, marching into Arrowhead and earning a 21-20 victory on Thursday night to open the NFL season. What are our thoughts on this game?
That's just one game for the Chiefs. They'll come back around. I think the bigger story is that the Detroit Lions they look good.
Well, and they came out like they wanted that game.
Yeah.
I mean, MCDC going for it or fake punt on his own 16. I was like, drop him out on the table, Matt Campbell. Drop him out on the table. He's here. He's done playing around. He's not I think he wants the impression now he's not the underdog. Like he doesn't want to be a underdog story. Like he's like, we expected to win.
I liked it.
I did too.
And they did. I could definitely see on the offensive side of the ball, not having Travis Kelce was a big deal for Patrick Mahomes.
But like he's got all these other weapons.
Does he really have other weapons, Jim? Start naming those guys that aren't Kadarius Toney.
Yeah, I know. I get what you're saying. I understand. But like, isn't that a problem then? If we're gonna say, well, he doesn't have weapons, he only has Travis Kelce.
Asking you to name somebody else.
He's got receivers. They're mid. I get it, but he's got receivers.
But he needs like a security check down guy. Like Kelce is always there to bail him out. And like when he didn't have Kelce to bail him out, like if the play wasn't going well, he didn't have that security blanket.
He ran the ball.
They have no number one receiver.
Yeah,
everybody else on that team is a number 2 at best everywhere else in the league.
Yeah, Kadarius Toney is listed on the depth chart as the number 1 receiver, and he cost them the game, all said and done.
Yeah.
So then is the answer next week if Kelce comes back, just put 2 helmets on him, and you've basically found the answer to the Chiefs?
I mean, they tried to put 2 helmets on. I think the kicker did after.
Yeah, right.
I think he's just who draws the attention so other receivers can have better matchups. Now, I did like Rashee Rice. He's a rookie, so I think he could be the next gadget guy for that team, which could be helpful. But yeah, I'm not making too much out of this yet for the Chiefs, assuming that Travis Kelce will be back playing next week.
If they'd have gotten blown out by the Lions, that would have been different. Because the Lions are a good team, and they still held their own. I mean, it was a 1-point game. You know, if they got beat by the Bears or something, yeah, we'd be. Or the Steelers. Now we'd be talking.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see how the Lions respond next week.
That will be good. A good thing to look out for. Getting into Sunday football, starting with the early games, we had the Panthers traveling to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. And a matchup full of recent first-round picks, it was Bijan Robinson, the Falcons, that took 14 fourth-quarter points and turned them into a 24-10 win in Hotlanta. Both young quarterbacks had tough days overall. Bryce Young tossed 2 picks. Desmond Ridder only threw for 115 yards. Did have a touchdown to go along with it. Of note, Drake London had no catches on the day with only 1 target, presumably their number 1 receiver. And Joker, that's right, the Joker position now, in Atlanta, Cordell Patterson didn't play in the opener with a thigh injury.
Problem with Bryce Young was he made the same exact error twice. And that's their big thing they were talking about. They're like, it's one thing to make that rookie mistake. It's another thing to literally, like a couple drives later, make the rookie mistake again, where he threw it, safeties came down and just literally ran in for an easy interception. Like he just counted out the fact that they could run towards him and get the ball. But he's young. He's learning.
Yeah, there's going to be some growing pains.
Yeah.
Alas, Atlanta does start out 1-0, moving to the Texans, taking on the Ravens in Baltimore. The Ravens start out their season with an expected win over the Texans, 25-9. But Lamar Jackson didn't necessarily have a standout show-out game. This was his first with new offensive coordinator Todd Monken. J.K. Dobbins had a touchdown, but then left the game and is gone for the season after suffering a torn Achilles.
I venture to say it might be career.
I would agree.
You think? Just because you don't think he'll bounce back from it?
This is his second season ending. I
He
just
looked
don't.
good, but he looked good until it happened. Like I
He
really,
He always
I was
looks
impressed
good
by it.
until something happens.
But
Yeah, I mean, didn't he tear his ACL 2 years ago or last year, whatever?
Last year he had a injury that put him up for on the shelf.
but it wasn't the same injury. I think he's too young to say that it's a career ending.
Is
That's
he
my
too
opinion.
young?
As a running back, I think it's
Right.
I don't know what too young is anymore for running back to start to level off in their production.
Yeah, that was a
know.
flag. Sorry.
I don't know. The Ravens were also without Mark Andrews, who didn't play, and they lost the services of DB Marcus Williams during the game, which they were already thin there because Marlon Humphrey did not play this week. So maybe something to look out for in the future with the Ravens.
Maybe my sister taking Gus Edwards in fantasy wasn't as crazy as I thought it was.
Definitely not now. Bengals took on the Browns.
Holy shit.
The Bengals seemed to be poised to make another run for the AFC North crown, but ran into a division matchup in week 1 and couldn't get past Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns, who win 24-3 and announce to the NFL that they want to compete.
No,
Wow.
piss off. First off, that's not what happened. That might have been like the underlying, like, oh yeah, we're Cleveland and we're here. Sure. You know what really happened was the Bengals offensive line just didn't show up.
I mean, they let Joe Burrow had 3 fantasy points with Jamar Chase as a wide receiver.
He couldn't even get the ball to him because there wasn't enough time.
Yeah.
Basically, Cleveland said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to send everyone the entire time.
How many
And we're
years,
just going to eat him.
how many years are we going to say, wow, that's a terrible Bengals offensive line before they do something about it?
They need
Like,
a fire sale.
Significant. Yes.
I mean, they did just make him the highest paid player.
If I was him, I would have said, no,
protect him.
thank you. Give that money to anybody in front of me.
Yes, please take that and distribute it evenly to find players who can protect me because my butt hurts.
They're not gonna make a run unless they fix this. Now I heard the commentators say, well, this is what happens before, and they went 0-2 last year, and look what they did. I don't care. Joe Burrow's longevity at that position is going to be dependent on that line getting their heads out of their asses.
Joe Burrow is like 0-3 in Cleveland. Jamar Chase was like, man, I went in there, I called him fucking elves. I just got beat by a bunch of elves. Like he just owned it. He's like, I called him elves. Got beat by elves.
It was bad.
Joe can't win in Ohio. Like at least in Cleveland, I should say.
I was gonna say, I don't know.
He wins in Ohio because they play their home games there, but
Yeah,
he went in Cleveland.
Ugh. And that's really
Away
Kentucky,
games.
Ohio people.
Cincinnati is.
Yeah,
I mean, it is right there.
Ugh.
It's a river. There's a river separating.
yeah.
That weather though did look trash, but still.
It doesn't matter. I think that like they could play in Las Vegas next week, and Vegas could send everybody, and they'll probably beat Cincinnati.
There's a blueprint.
Yeah.
Send the house
rough.
every play. All right. Next, we have the Jaguars taking on the Colts. Colts rookie quarterback Anthony Richardson put up a hell of a fight in
Yes,
an
he
effort
did.
in his first NFL game. Potentially too much of a fight, as he was taken out of the game after a big hit in the final minutes with the Colts driving inside the 5-yard line. The Jags ultimately hold on for a 31-21 win. The Colts have not won in week 1 for 10 years now.
That sounds unbelievable to be true.
Right.
I didn't believe it when I heard it either.
I'm just excited.
How long has Andrew Luck not been there now?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Because I feel like, again, that 10-year mark just seems too long. But, I mean, if it's real, it's real.
I think it's real. I'm just excited I picked up Anthony Richard as a backup QB in a couple of my fantasy leagues, and it looks like it might have been a solid investment. Between him and Bijan Robinson, I took in one of my leagues. I'm like, smart.
I think Trevor Lawrence might be mid.
He didn't look bad.
What? Why?
I mean,
He just he doesn't have that pizzazz that we thought he would when he was drafted. And I get Urban took him and all that shit, but like, I just don't think he has the it factor to get him to that next level.
He's just not a flashy player.
Yeah, sure, okay.
I mean, he's not going to be the one that's going to get all the eyes on him like a Mahomes for this wild scramble throwing down the field. He's not going to run the ball like Lamar Jackson. He's not going to get in trouble like Deshaun Watson. He's just going to show up and do his thing.
And I kind of respect that. Like, he knows he's not good enough to be the showboat, so just do what you gotta do and take care of business.
Yeah.
Unrelated to Trevor Lawrence, did you see that run by Tank Bigsby where he literally drugged the pile and was just running with the pile, almost scored a touchdown? Like, he got immediately stopped at the line and the pile literally just kept moving underneath, like as he just trailed. I don't know if anyone else.
I did not see it, but I also know that Tank Bigsby made a big mistake, which led to a Colts returned fumble to touchdown.
Yes, that's true.
So good with the bad with Tank, apparently.
It was just exciting. I get excited about those where you're watching a pile run.
Yeah. A little rugby scrum.
Yeah.
I thought those were illegal now.
I mean, he was clearly still driving. Oh, I was like, he was clearly still driving the pile. There was no reason to blow a whistle.
I'm talking about the Eagles, how they can't do their QB sneak.
Yeah,
thing.
they're
yeah. Of note for the Colts, this past week they signed their long snapper Luke Rhodes to an extension that makes him the highest paid long snapper in the league. Take that, Jonathan Taylor from Jim Irsay.
I don't think that they really need Jonathan Taylor.
No, I don't either. I thought the same damn thing today. I'm like, I'd be like, see ya. Wouldn't want to be ya. Someone at church this morning had on a Jonathan Taylor jersey, and I wanted to ask him about it. And I was like, it's church. Don't do that. He probably paid a lot of money for that. He probably paid a lot of money for that. And he's like, I'm going to wear it. And I was like, it's church. We're not going to do that to him.
Could have put that in the offering plate.
What was that?
You put that in the offering plate.
Yeah. For the homeless.
Buccaneers taking on the Vikings.
Well, I'm not done with the Jags. Did the Jags throw, I think Trevor Lawrence threw 2 interceptions. I'm pretty sure.
You're bringing the facts, Jim. We need you to know.
That's what, but you moved too fast and I got scared. Okay, hold on. Hold on.
We've been talking for 5 minutes about this game.
Yeah, well, my kids are yelling in the background. It's making me nervous.
Okay, I'm gonna stall for 1 second while you look this up, Jim.
Thank you.
Muff, your boy Calvin really looked pretty damn good.
I know. Look at that guy. He just said, I can bet on games. Screw
He's
you
like, I
guys.
can bet on games. I'm gonna come back even better. I just want to take a year off so I could get better.
Yeah, he just looked well rested. That's all.
Yeah, he did. I was like, ooh, he's a threat.
It was 1 interception. I apologize.
2 touchdowns to 1 interception.
Yeah.
Not terrible.
It's more mid.
I feel like he's from Clemson. He's always going to be mid.
You know what? I forgot he was even from Clemson. So back up off me.
No one forgets.
I did. I
Trevor
swear
Lawrence
to
is from
God.
Clemson.
I didn't. He's in the NFL now.
Buccaneers at the Vikings. Baker Mayfield and the Bucks go into Minnesota and don't give a shit about Kirk Cousins and his lead role in the quarterback series, taking a 2017 win over Skull. Mayfield touched 2 touchdowns, one Mike Evans and Chase McLaughlin knocked in 2 field goals, the second coming from 57 yards out with about 5 minutes left that proved to be the game winner. Nate, how are you feeling?
Surprised.
Yeah, me too.
With doing Pee Wee today, I didn't catch a single snap of that game, but I kept checking periodically in between series and at halftime. And I definitely knew the defense is going to have to carry him through some games this year, but I really did not expect Baker to lead them to a win in week 1. So I think that might just tell us something about Minnesota, that it's going to take a little bit of growing pains with them, losing Dalvin and losing Adam Thielen. So,
I mean, Jordan Addison played well. I mean, he's supposed to be taking the Adam Thielen role. He had, I think, 4 catches, 67 yards, and a touchdown. So, I mean, he did what he was supposed to do. I don't know if he dropped balls or anything, but at least his stat line shows that he can come in and play.
Live looking, by the way. Graham Gano, which is what my sister drafted
what
her
the
kicker.
heck? What, Nate? How
Talking
did you
about Graham
Gano?
When my sister, yes, but when my sister drafted him in our fantasy league, she said, "I will take Graham Gano." Graham Gano just had his field goal blocked and returned 4-6 for the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, and look, their kicker missed an extra point.
Oh, nuts. There was several missed extra points today. Oh, that was a bad miss. I'm a little behind you, Nate. All right. Got distracted. Baker didn't look bad today.
Give it time.
I know, probably, but I was pissed because I'm kind of a
This is
Closet
overreaction
Viking.
Monday.
I
and
just remember
shit
when I
on
looked
NFL players
point.
Monday.
I just remember when I looked at one point, like early on in the game, and he was like 3 for 11. I said, "Oh, here we go."
Guys, you guys all have very negative attitudes about football right now. I'm not on board with it.
I'm a closet Viking.
We're just getting geared up for whenever we get to the Ohio State Youngstown State game.
Listen, we have to get through Pittsburgh first, and that was a shit show. Titans
let's get on Tennessee and New Orleans then.
No one was eating W's in New Orleans this week, but they did come out and gobble up a win in week 1, 16-15 over the Titans. The Saints held King Henry to 63 rushing yards, and the Titans could only muster field goals all game while Derek Carr tossed 1 touchdown to Rashid Shaheed to give the Saints the week 1 win.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Well, didn't Tannehill throw like 2 or 3 picks?
Yeah.
So his seat's already getting warm because people are going to say, "Oh, where's Will Levis?"
I mean, he's just going to throw the ball 100 miles an hour to a defender at this point.
Right. I just think this game was the worst game of the lineup this week.
There's only one touchdown. There's one touchdown and 5, 6, 7, 8 field goals.
But even the storyline for it, if it's in the script, is like, who cares?
San Francisco comes into Pittsburgh after signing Nick Bosa to a huge deal earlier this week, and the 49ers didn't miss a beat with Brock Purdy returning from his UCL tear in the week 1 win, dominating the Steelers in figuratively stomping on the Steelers logo, winning 30-7 at Acrisure Stadium.
That was disgusting. Literally not. My text to Jim today said, "Before you say anything, Jim, the Steelers effing stunk today. There are 0 redeeming qualities about the game. The 49ers walked us like a dog." And
hey, at least they get shut out.
I mean, gotta take good with the bad here.
You scored more points than your divisional opponent, the Bengals. You didn't lose your starting running back to the season.
that's true, but thank you for pointing out some redeeming qualities, Nate.
There it is. 49ers did jump out to a 20-0 lead and never looked back. They kept the rushing attack in check of the Steelers and pressured Kenny Pickett all game long, getting 5 sacks and Pickett threw 2 interceptions.
I was so freaking excited too. Like I was coming back from the grocery store, like I was just gonna miss kickoff, But I'm like coming up the hill, and they're like, they won the toss, and they're like, we want the ball first. We want the ball. Kenny Pickett. I'm like, yeah, let's go. Like this is the new Steelers. We're gonna come out. We're gonna fire. This offense is gonna be great. And I was so crushed. And I think that's why I'm taking this loss so hard. Like I was hyped to start this game. And they were talking on the radio and like, Minka Fitzpatrick roped off around the Steeler logo because no one's gonna walk on the logo. And I'm like, yeah, that's Steeler football. I'm ready to go. And it was just like lights out. Like all that flame I felt gone.
Alex, I don't want to like burst your bubble here. I didn't know this until I found out about it later. Apparently, the reason for the stanchions and the rope around the logo was because of the media.
Oh. Well, they claimed it was Minka Fitzpatrick.
Well, he did it.
Thing.
He did that, but apparently the media are the ones that were always walking all over it.
Oh. Well, still, he didn't want someone walking on a freaking logo. We're the Steelers.
In this game, do we think the 49ers are really, really good?
Yeah.
Are the Steelers really, really bad? Or is it somewhere in the middle?
I think the Steelers are middle of the road at best, and I think the 49ers are really, really good.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a little bit of both right now. We know what the Niners are. They came out and proved that they exactly who they were at the end of the year before Brock Purdy got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And then Pittsburgh, they're still young. They're going to go through their growing pains. It's just a matter of can they get it together? And if they do, when is it going to happen?
That's it. Jim, any thoughts?
No.
You're just gearing up for everything later.
I promised Alex no shit would be spoken.
Jim just
sticking to my word.
I'm like speaking myself into enough shit.
I just stick it to my word that I would not talk shit on this.
He did.
Fair
He had enough things going wrong for him in the football world this week, so we were just going to call it as a truce.
The Cardinals march into the nation's capital in an appropriate matchup of two teams that have different hopes for the season. The Commanders, hoping the new ownership group can do some good things, get that week 1 win 2016 over the tanking Cardinals. Josh Dobbs was supposed to have the competitive advantage at quarterback for the Cardinals, but he was stripped by Montez Sweat. Early in the game, it set up a Sam Howell touchdown run for the Commanders. Howell also tossed for a touchdown to Brian Robinson Jr. This is another one of those games that in the script, Jim, should have something because of the Commanders, but didn't.
I think the Commanders should have won by more. If you follow the script, if the Cardinals were really tanking, this would have been the indicator. I think the bigger story for me, if we're following storylines, is that Chase Young didn't play with a neck injury. So is this like the biggest draft bust, like in terms of draft busts? Is this up here with Ryan Leaf?
Like, is he ever going to play again?
Right.
He's one who I'm like, is his career done?
Yeah, that's my question.
Yeah, I don't think he's that level of a bust. I don't really think he's a bust. A bust is somebody who plays and doesn't do well. Chase Young played well when he played.
But like, did he ever complete a full season?
Like, again, I don't think that makes him a bust. At least not to that level.
Does it make him a boom?
No, I'm definitely not putting him up there on like he was the best pick ever, but I don't think he's a bust.
Well, we can't determine him a bust if he can't get on the field.
I call it a bust.
Okay. Just like every Ohio State.
I kind of spread the wealth this year in my fantasy picks as far as like rookies and young people go, but that Brian Robinson Jr. picked him up too. It could be.
Remember, this is a guy that got shot last year.
Yeah, I know. He's not really. That's why I said rookies, and I was like young.
All right, the Packers travel to Chicago, and the Jordan Love era begins in Green Bay, and he shows that maybe it is better to sit behind greatness rather than be paraded out in your rookie year as the Packers go into Soldier Field and beat the Bears 38-20.
What the fuck, Muff?
Just because you beat Justin Fields doesn't mean you have to be butthurt, Jim.
No, I think it
I
was
don't even
more
care
sitting
about
behind
Justin Fields.
greatness.
Sitting behind greatness is what should have happened.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers is a top 5 quarterback of all time. I don't know what you're talking
But
about.
come on, he can't even get the win today without you bringing in Aaron Rodgers. His first day.
You
on
mean
the
that's what
job,
people
he
said about
outed.
Brett Favre too?
Oh
this is me just
my
playing the
God.
script, Jim. This is
just
script.
you being petty and
This
wanting
is
Aaron
the
to have.
script.
Don't forget what they did to Aaron. Let's throw that T on Jordan. Come on.
He looked better than he played a lot
done?
better than I expected him to today. I'll
Are you
give him
done,
his
Jim?
flowers.
Are you done?
I'll give Jordan Love his flowers.
Thank you.
Justin Fields, he gets no flowers from
No
me.
flowers for
I
that.
No
think
guy.
I looked before the games today. The Bears were favored in that game.
Yeah, they were ridiculous.
Jim, if you didn't read between the lines there, I think that was more of a knock on like Justin Fields and other
I think it was
quarterbacks.
you trying to get a little bit of tea.
I really do believe that Muff's angle was to go with, like you were saying, like the Justin Fields, the quarterbacks that are young, play early, and kind of bust out in a bad way. But I think it was funny because we could easily relate this back to Aaron Rodgers.
Well, I agree, Jim. There was nobody for him to sit behind. I'm saying that the Green Bay may have the formula for success by bringing in quarterbacks. That's all I'm saying.
Get out of here.
I mean,
if Jordan Love turns out to be a really good quarterback, I think they've got
It's all because he watched Aaron Rodgers play.
well, because Aaron Rodgers watched Brett Favre. That's what
Right,
he said.
Because they gave him time to develop. They weren't like.
Yes, Jim.
Here's the question: did Brett Favre watch Bart Starr? No, I'm just kidding.
I think you're trying to pick a fight here. You're picking the
I
wrong
think
fight.
you're putting shit in here just to make Aaron feel good.
Jim, save it for the Penguins.
For when Aaron watches this, for when Aaron listens, he just wants to make sure Muff's loving his ego a little first.
Muff sends Aaron some love letters. Hey, please watch this. I was hyping you up.
You gotta hype somebody up.
Get out of here.
All right, Raiders traveling to the Mile High Stadium to take on Denver. One would wonder if Russell Wilson was still kissing babies and shaking hands leading up to this week's game, despite new head coach Sean Payton's directive to the contrary, as the Broncos lose to the Raiders 17-16. Jimmy G throws 2 touchdowns, both to Jacoby Myers, while Russ Wilson did have 2 of his own, but the Broncos can't get it done in week 1.
What was the opinion on the opening onside kick?
Sounds like a Sean Payton thing to do.
Literally, well, he did at the Super Bowl, so
I mean, if you're gonna do it, I guess that's the time to do it.
true. They would have had it too if the guy was a little smarter. I mean, it would have worked.
Mid.
Who's mid? What is mid? This whole game is probably mid.
Jacoby
Did
Myers.
you learn like this new like terminology from your kids, and now you want to try to be the cool dad?
No, it's just mid.
Do your kids use mid?
No.
Are you teaching your kids mid?
No.
On their walkie-talkies.
Are you smoking mids?
This class is mid. Get me out of here. Write me an excuse. Isn't mid? That's a good point, Nate. What are we talking about here? Jacoby Myers gets drilled coming across the middle and gets knocked the F out. And it was kind of scary for a minute because he was kind of like, it was more like how he landed, I think, and he was out, but it looked like he was like posturing, which can be with like a traumatic brain injury. Look it up. It's like this. And I do this and everyone's going to laugh, but it's really actually a thing that's very terrible to see in a patient with a brain injury. But then he relaxed and he was able to walk off the field under his own power with the assistance of his coaches.
For the listeners, Alex, can you describe what you just did?
Oh, his hands were like kind of flexed up.
Mm-hmm.
So you're basically trying to look
like rigid. Like basically you contract.
So he two-ed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why when he did it and they like zoomed in on his face for a minute, his eyes were open, but like he literally was holding the ball in the same position, just laying there. Like as though you just picked him up and like laid him down mid-running. I was like, oh fudge. But
so he's like one of those fainting goats and he just froze.
It kind of looked like it. Yeah. And at first I was like, neck injury? Can he not move? I was like worried. But they like it was one of those hits that look so bad that they're like, okay, we'll be right back. Just cut off the east screen. Like usually if it's like just a knockout, they'll like stay on for a minute. Like it was scary for a second. But he did. He got up and walked off with the help of the training staff. So that's good. Glad to see it.
Good.
Dolphins travel to LA to take on the Chargers, and in the ultimate track meet, it should come as no surprise that Tyreek Hill comes out on top. Has 215 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns, his second coming in the final minutes to put the Dolphins ahead for good, and they win 36-34. Jim, what are your thoughts on this game?
It should come as no surprise that the Chargers steal defeat from the jaws of victory, losing the game right there at the end. Strap in, folks, for another season of this horseshit.
Eagles travel to New England to take on the Patriots in a game that was dominated by the Eagles for 3.5 quarters. The Patriots mounted a late game comeback, but it comes up short as the Eagles win 25-20. The final minutes in this game were highlighted by the Patriots not initially capitalizing on a 4th down, which turned the ball over to the Eagles around midfield. Nick Sirianni then showed he could do that just the same as Bill, going forward on 4th down around midfield on the other side of the 2-minute warning, only to forfeit the ball back to the Patriots. So the Eagles take it down.
Well, and Jalen Hurts had that fumble. That didn't help.
Right, that was also in there. I forgot.
Which that's kind of an anomaly for him. But I mean, the helmet was perfectly. I mean, there's nothing he could have done about that other than not run it and just slide. But the point was it was a run play, so I don't really knock him for it. But that was definitely in the mix of shenanigans. The important thing is Eagles covered.
Good teams win, great teams cover. Remember that, people. And last in the Sunday slate, the Rams took on the Seahawks. Geno Smith and the Seahawks came into the season planning to continue their winning ways and make a run for the playoffs. But the old man, Matthew Stafford, and his young crew had other thoughts, taking down the Seahawks 30-13 behind 2 rushing touchdowns from Kieran Williams and another from Cam Akers. Stafford over 300 yards passing, while Geno barely got over 100 yards through the air, Alex.
I know. It wasn't a great look for him. It wasn't a great game for him. There was, I mean, if you watched it, it wasn't one of those things where like, wow, Geno sucks at quarterback. It just looked like the Seattle's offense just couldn't click today. But no, it wasn't
Do you
great.
think Geno was playing scared though?
Well, I do not fault him for that. If Aaron Donald came right at me, I'd say, "Oh my god, dude! Oh my god!"
For anybody who did not see it, Geno Smith was about to be demolished by Aaron Donald, who came in the middle through on a stunt, I believe, and he literally yelled, "Say it again, Alex."
He says, "Oh my God," and throws the ball away. And I'm like, don't blame him at all. Would have done the same damn thing.
Yeah, that's I wouldn't want to do that either.
That
as a
Kyron
quarterback.
Williams looked good. He's going to give Cam Akers a run for his money. They can call him Cam Akers backup, but he looked good.
For now.
That's
All
true.
right, which brings us to the Cowboys taking on the Giants in Sunday Night Football. Live looking. What do we got going on?
The Cowboys just kicked a field goal to go up 9-0 after, like Alex said at the live looking a little bit ago, the blocked field goal for a touchdown, missed the extra point. So it's 9 instead of 10.
There it is. I'm wondering if Dak Prescott's tattoo is causing any issues. Jim, do you have thoughts on this?
Even leg pain.
Dak Prescott is a bitch.
Is that what his tattoo says?
It should.
Go on, Jim. Explain why.
He had to be put to sleep to get a tattoo on his leg.
His whole leg. But yeah.
It was 11 hours. Again, I'm not defending the fact that you have to have anesthesia for that, but that's a marathon of a tattoo session in my mind.
I was gonna say I've seen the videos where people go under anesthesia and they get a full back piece done.
That's different.
But even then, I just can't. It just blows. I mean, I shouldn't do that because there's such thing as cosmetic surgery, so it's probably all the same. Like when I think about like going under anesthesia for a tattoo, like the risks of anesthesia. But it had to be different tattoo artists. I couldn't sit there and do a tattoo for 11 hours. I've never done a tattoo for 11 seconds, but I would assume it's a lot of concentration.
Bitch.
All right, and in Monday Night Football, the Bills take on the Jets, traveling to New Jersey. How are we feeling in this game? What are our picks? Just straight up.
Buffalo.
Yep, going Buffalo as well. Buffalo.
Oh,
Oh. Do you think that your boy shows out in his first
I don't think he loses the game for them, but I don't think they win either. Okay. Everybody good? We gonna
I
get
agree.
over it? We gonna get over it?
I guess we're over
are
it
you gonna
now.
edit this out when you send him the tape?
No, I have an alternate broadcast that goes straight to Aaron Rodgers.
I was gonna say, whew.
Just for him.
It's when he
Just for
picks the
him.
Jets and he edits all of our voices into these little cartoon voices talking about how much we love the Jets.
Little
my
did you guys
God.
know.
We love you, Aaron.
Yeah.
There's a secondary episode that I cobble together and send
The
to
Photoshops were all actually wearing Aaron Rodgers jerseys.
Right.
You're welcome. One day when Aaron Rodgers comes on the show, you're welcome. All right. Any other thoughts in week 1 of the NFL? How did we feel? Did we who had any secondary broadcast? The quad box, red zone?
I had red zone. Overall, the offenses most of them were pretty lackluster. I think they're just starting to click. There's a lot of new, as they kept saying, new faces in new places. So I think there's just a lot of gelling to go on. I think there's a lot of potential in some teams. And it was funny, you could tell that they weren't in season shape yet. Most teams, like by the end, you could tell these guys were like getting gassed.
I think some of the injuries we saw are because of that too.
There were a lot of like cramping, and like I think Deontay Johnson, even like the way he was holding his leg, like I think it's cramping injury, maybe a pulled muscle because of just deconditioned and going too hard on a not as warmed up, but they'll get there.
I think some of that has to come back down to the coaches and rep count.
Yeah.
Like if you're not going to have the many preseason games and you're not doing all the practices and the 2-a-days and all that shit, then start doing rep counts.
Well, and these guys don't play in most of the preseason games.
Right.
It's not even like they're getting
your J.K. Dobbins. And maybe I'm no doctor like you, buddy, and you're going to tear the Achilles if you're going to tear the Achilles.
Yeah.
But like he was at 100 yards, I think, already.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know so much like in that, if that's I think is just unfortunate. I could be wrong. I mean, it could be using poor form. You know what I mean? You start compensating for,
right.
you know, tackling form, cutting form, things like that, and then you injure yourself based on the compensation otherwise. But like cramping, things like that, usually that's like improper hydration, conditioning. It's still warm out, it's so
I'd turn them down a little bit.
yeah. It was week 1.
Kudos to Cincinnati for they're getting their asses kicked and they put in the backup.
They literally were like, yeah, see, we're not gonna let Joe Burrow's been sacked enough today. We'll just
Right. That's the last thing you want of your multi-$100 million investment.
Yeah.
get hurt in a game that's pointless that's out of reach. I should say, not pointless.
All right. Now we will trudge along to college football. Week 2. Horns up.
Yep. Just for 1 week. Horns up.
Roll Tide down. So what's the opposite of Roll Tide? If it's not rolling, it's
wow. Sorry. There's
Okay.
exciting. Pick 6.
by
Dallas. The opposite of Roll Tide. What's the opposite of roll? Rock Tide.
don't know if that's the antonym.
Would you say low tide?
There we go.
Untied.
Yeah, low tide. Low tide it is. Low tide. First, before we get into that, let's break down some of the games in the Big Ten. First, Indiana takes down the
Muff, can I take over this?
Sycamores.
Let me take over this, bud. I'm gonna do this.
How about Jim?
Indiana takes down Indiana State 41-7. Good job. Kansas takes on Illinois, holds on in the second half 34-23. Kansas didn't really look like they were ever out of control this game, though.
No, Kansas looked good.
Illinois was always fighting from behind. I think it kind of shows that Illinois has some things they need to work on. Northwestern gets the first win, beating UTEP 38-7.
I think they celebrated by doing naked slides in the locker room.
No, I'm pretty sure they got enough eyeballs in that locker room that they all
Probably
just
just
shook hands and went
high-five.
home.
Making sure that everyone remains dressed.
Right.
Good job, good job, good job, good job, good job.
Everybody sit down in your respective lockers and don't touch.
Instead of
Yeah.
instead of like an independent neuro person on the field, they have the independent apparel person. I don't know what we call that, but
Yeah, to make
Yeah.
sure everybody's properly clothed.
keep your clothes on person.
Yeah, they still follow
Absolutely.
COVID protocols in the locker room.
Yeah, 6 foot. Social distancing for different reasons.
The boat continues to roll down the river with Minnesota beating Eastern Michigan 25-6. I think this is a good win for Minnesota. Of all programs that played that aren't the big 3, good win, solid win here. Eastern Michigan could have been a threat. Well done.
To who?
They could have been a threat to Minnesota.
Yeah, they could have been one of those sneaky teams that beats a Power 5.
Could have. Rutgers covers and improves to 2-0, beating Temple 36-7. Also, good win.
Muff's getting nervous.
I'm again. In what
Yeah,
world,
you're
Itchy.
right.
in what world is
Good.
Temple a good win? They covered again.
It's Rutgers. Everyone's a good
Well,
win
they're
if you're
playing
Rutgers.
Rutgers.
I believe we said a little bit ago, good teams win and great teams cover. And
I
Rutgers
agree. They
There
did.
we go.
It's a great team.
I'm
Good
the one that
win
wrote,
then, Muff.
I'm the one that wrote the line there. So yeah.
Okay. Luke Fickle and the number 19 Wisconsin lost to Pac-12 Washington State. This game was never in question. Luke Fickle, it looked like fickle ball, a term that I used when he was the coach for that brief year at Ohio State. That's what this was. Plain and simple. He tried to stick to the script the entire game and did not deviate. Makes
Even-
you worry.
Okay.
If I'm a
What
Wisconsin fan-
was the script for that game? Was it run the ball? I didn't watch it. So
Yes, run the ball, try to jam it down their throats, and then when you got down 3rd and long, you knew here comes a pass. Like that was it, and the passing game just wasn't there.
it sounds like Wisconsin ball.
But that's Fickle's. It's the old school Big Ten against a
Okay.
Pac-12 nightmare.
Got it.
That wasn't going to work. Purdue goes to 1-1 victory over Virginia Tech 24-17.
That's a good win for Purdue.
6-hour rain delay, I think.
All of
Good for
those
them.
schools on the East Coast had them.
Yeah, that whole Saturday was marred by delays.
Yeah. Iowa keeps the low scoring winning ways, beating Iowa State 20-13.
How many points did Iowa score last week?
24.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like, you'll pick it up. These are the games you're supposed to get a lot of points in, man.
I was impressed with this victory for Iowa, though. I was impressed with the performance.
I was more impressed week 1.
I was most impressed at the underhit.
I'm going to skip the next 2 games. Let's go straight to the juicy one. Colorado beats Nebraska 36-14. Muff, would you like to throw some commentary in there about the making
no,
it
this
personal?
is all you, buddy.
So, and this is, I searched through the TikTok a lot trying to figure out what was the actual things that were said. Shedeur Sanders had words about Matt Rule after the game, saying that he felt that Matt Rule was disrespectful about his dad. I did not hear or see this. I'm still waiting on that.
I believe it had to do with when Dion was just talking about how they were going to be good. I think it was just a knock on them being a competitive team this year.
I think it happened like significantly before the game. It wasn't like
it wasn't
before
this
the game.
week.
He's like, Dion sucks. Like, I think this
Yeah.
is like going into the season. Matt Rule was like doubtful of Dion.
Gotcha. Some cool things happened. And I'm going to say this little bit and then I'll get to the other bits. But I think the media hype around Colorado is fantastic to watch. It's very entertaining. They had I think her name is Betty, longtime fan of Colorado.
Peggy.
Peggy, thank you. Getting the game ball, saying hit my theme music.
Yeah.
You have a lot of celebrities at Colorado's games. You have the bodyguard saying F around and find out on his shirt. It's at an event, a Colorado game is. I mean, that's why all the game days and kickoff shows are there. I like the buzz around Colorado. I think beating Nebraska 36-14 is good, but I kind of expected it.
I mean, they were only favored by 2.5 when I took them, so they well over covered what the expectation was.
But cool, awesome, right?
Yeah.
Now let's go to Michigan taking care of business. I want Muff wrote it down. Number 2, Michigan taking care of business. Game 2 without Harbaugh. 35-7 against UNLV. That is an accurate statement. Beating UNLV 35-7. Taking care of business. Okay. Penn State racks up over 300 yards and 6 rushing touchdowns, disposing of Delaware 63-7. Absolutely. Absolutely.
They covered. Great team.
They were great.
Confirmed great team.
They really were.
Absolutely. Okay. Now let's go to Ohio State. Takes down Youngstown State 35-7. Muff wrote that. Okay. If you're in Ohio and you can hear me, shut the fuck up. That's it. I can't take it anymore. I can't.
What's the buzz, Jim?
The sky is falling. The team sucks. Fire Ryan Day. We're going to get destroyed by Notre Dame. This is awful. That kid can't make reads. We need to bring in the other guy. The defense is regressing. Michigan just beat UNLV 35-7. We beat a team. Youngstown State in their division, whatever they play, have been champions. We beat them 35-7. Well, we should have beat them 63-7. What?
I mean, maybe
First
you should
off,
have. I don't know.
Sure. But we beat them 35-7. The script that Indiana played on Ohio State is hold the ball as long as you can and reduce the amount of time Ohio State can play In the Indiana game, the year before, we had 15 possessions. This time we had 10. Youngstown State did the same thing. If you want to blame anything, if there's any criticism for Ohio State, the speed in which they play is not conducive to the new clock rules. We're not going to throw up a bunch of points because we're not moving quick right now. You know why we're not moving quick right now? Because we're trying to teach the quarterback a new system. Do you know that Oregon struggled against Texas Tech, who lost to Wyoming? Tennessee struggled against Austin Peay.
I mean, Oregon
Nobody's talking about that.
Oregon covered.
I'm pretty sure Ohio State covered.
No.
Here, Jim, I'll give your Columbus fans some more things to get worried about. Ryan Day was at West Liberty University on Friday night to watch his kid play against Lindsley.
The sky's falling, Nate.
I know. Does that
But you know
feel
what pisses me off worse? You know what makes me real mad overall?
You know what really grinds Jim's gears?
This gets me so heated.
Wait, was that all not things that pissed you
That
off?
was got me more. That got
Oh,
me
okay, there's more. But
Okay.
wait, there's more.
Penn State looked like they could kill giants. Has looked like they could kill giants for the last 2 weeks. We don't even care about that here in Columbus. I would dare say the national media doesn't even care about that. We're looking at Michigan.
I thought you said Notre Dame. Thought that was, or is that just like,
No, there's people saying we're going to get beat again by Michigan. 3-peat. Then you have people, wow, 2 more weeks, we got to get through Notre Dame. Well, Notre Dame kind of struggled a little bit. So there's hope still. That's what they say, Alex.
I was gonna say I thought Notre Dame took care of business against NC State. I would
Not
say
the
that.
giant killer in Happy Valley. We don't even worry about that shit.
Oh, compared to that, yeah, no, I agree. I thought we were just saying. I'm like, I don't know if we should knock on Notre Dame. I don't like them, but
In my mind, I'm scared shitless of Penn State. And I think every team in the nation should be. That team's clicking. And like, I love you, Scott. He said that text making fun of James Franklin being walked out. I'm not talking any shit on James Franklin. I'm not saying a damn word. For this whole year, until High State gets through them, I'm not saying shit. They're the monster in the closet everybody should be scared of. Yeah, Texas beat Alabama, and Deion's got his team going. The quiet giant in Happy Valley is what everybody should be scared of. I'm telling you. Mark my words. End rant.
and if you live in Ohio and are still listening, we thank you. We thank you for staying along for the ride.
Sorry.
Columbus specifically.
We appreciate your loyal listenership. And lastly, Michigan State gets a 45-13 win over Richmond, but then suspends head coach Mel
But I
Tucker
saw
on
today
Sunday.
that he did get fired.
It was a
Really?
false. It was they jumped the gun a little bit.
Yep.
They all said fired and then came back and were like, no, it was actually a suspension for the investigation.
Yes. Mel Tucker, amid an ongoing sexual harassment investigation involving Tucker and a sexual assault survivor/activist. The investigation wrapped up in late July. The formal hearing is not scheduled until early October. Current details include Tucker being accused of making suggestive comments and masturbating during a phone call in April 2022 with Brenda Tracy, the person bringing the accusations to the Michigan State Title IX process. There's also other additional accusations, and Tracy had been a guest speaker to Michigan State multiple times and served as an honorary captain in a spring game. April 2022, September 2023, October 2023. It seems to be
Brenda
dragging
Tracy
on.
When did Brenda Tracy come forward?
Well, the investigation wrapped up in July. I did not see the
Oh,
time.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking like, okay, it happened in August, but did she not say anything until, a week ago? But apparently he like I read something today, he's like, it was consensual. Like we were in a real intimate relationship.
What?
I'm like, and she's like, no, we weren't. And I'm like, Yeah, that was like one of the articles I read that was like his defense. He's like, we were in a committed relationship, like these allegations are ridiculous.
This is interesting, right? I get the potentially firing, but I know enough about the process, the due process within Title IX that was revamped like 12 to 18 months ago. And that's probably what's stopped them from firing him, because of what could happen if the process plays out and nobody's found to be responsible, or if Tucker's not found to be responsible for any of this. I don't know. We'll see. He's suspended, I'm assuming, until October, unless they want to potentially have a lawsuit on their hands otherwise.
I mean, if he really did this, I mean, that's about as messed up as you get.
Right.
You take
And
like a sexual assault survivor and then further sexually assault them.
we'll see what
After
else comes
women
out.
like talk, like made her like the honorary captain for the spring game, like had a coin flip for her, and then harass her. Well, there's
All
no,
right.
yeah.
Getting out of the Big Ten, getting to top 10 and other ranked teams, as well as we'll talk about WVU. Number 11, Texas is.
You just did him dirty.
I mean,
Go on.
horns up. Texas puts the screws to Alabama 34-24 in prime time Saturday football.
What did I send you guys? That was the first double-digit home loss for Nick Saban since
In
2007.
20 years. No, I think it's 22. Or
Oh, I think it was
2002.
LSU. Was he still at LSU?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what. Like, I don't think as Alabama he has had a double-digit home loss.
No.
Go Texas! I mean, and they ran the game too. It wasn't a fluky back and forth. I mean, Texas came in. Texas was the better team. Texas took care of business. Texas went home.
I think it's a quarterback issue.
No, I mean, obviously Alabama doesn't have that stud quarterback.
But the sky's probably not falling in Tuscaloosa. I'll tell you that much.
Sky is probably. We do not have that insight. I guarantee the sky is falling.
I don't think so. Honest to
The
God.
the sky is falling on the entire SEC from most of the people I listen to. Most of the people are like the SEC is dead.
I think, I will say this much. I think there's people in Alabama that think, well, it's just Texas. You still have a chance to win the SEC and go to the national championship and play Texas again. That's what I think. I'm telling you. Whereas if this was Columbus, the sky, we're dead. Launch a funeral.
So you don't think the Alabama fans are as crazy as the Ohio State fans?
Not one bit. Not one bit.
Jim, do you remember the thing with the tree and
killing the trees?
I still don't think.
Do you think Nick Saban's done? Like, if say Alabama's done, do you think Nick Saban retires?
No.
At 70, he's doing all. I feel like he's.
That.
See, I feel like he's getting into like the extra media deal type. Like, he could go out like that though and still be considered the best college football coach of all time.
Nope, not going to happen. I think he might go to national championship.
I mean, it could still happen. I'm not going to say otherwise.
You want to say, if you look at, Penn State, Texas, who just beat them.
Okay.
Even Ohio State, Michigan, Washington, it looks good.
Penn State's going to eat up Ohio State and Michigan. Get rid of them. They're gone.
Are they? Because if you have no other good teams come out of the SEC.
Jim, are you not just doing what you just got pissed about for 10 minutes? Sky's falling. Ohio State can't win.
I'm saying Ohio State loses to Penn State. I believe Penn State is the better team.
Yeah, but can two Big Ten teams not make it into the playoffs? Because there's only 4 teams in the playoffs this year.
Texas, Bama,
Penn State,
Florida State,
and one more.
Florida State. And
There's
take Bama out. I don't think Bama gets there. I think that's what I'm saying.
Bama wins the SEC. They're in.
I don't think Bama wins the SEC though.
Oof. I say it's possible.
I mean, is it possible? Yeah, but I don't think they do.
Nick goes on a revenge tour.
I don't know.
They should brand it as like the Nick Saban era tour.
He's coming back. This will be his. He will go back to the lab. I have more faith in that than a lot of things.
Oh, I do too. I think he's a good enough coach. He will definitely go back to the lab. But I think there's enough other good teams where I could see a world where Alabama is not in the playoffs.
That quarterback, I'll tell you right now, will not see the light of day. Forget a classroom.
His name Jalen Milroe or some Milroe.
He will not see a classroom again.
No.
Where are your
Forget it.
classes? You have to go to class? No, you don't anymore. They're all online.
No, you don't.
Here's in the Blue Mountain State world. Here's your nerd.
Yeah. Meet Todd, who will be going to class for you.
Miami, Florida upsets 23 Texas A&M 48-33, adding to the SEC discussion. Alex.
Yeah, no, I mean, the SEC is down this year. I mean, they are not the dominant
I don't
SEC.
agree with you.
You don't think the Big Ten's better than the SEC this year?
No.
I think the Pac-12 looks better than the SEC at this point.
Pac-2.
Pac-2. Washington, USC,
Tupac.
Colorado. You just lost one of your ranked teams to Miami, Florida.
I don't think the SEC.
You lost a ranked team to Texas. I don't know. I'm just saying Georgia plays nobody. I mean, nobody. I'm not high on the SEC this year.
Speaking of the SEC, and the only other game this week with ranked opponents, 20
I
Ole
like to
Miss.
give one Big 12 big win, and he is now.
I'm not saying the Big 12's the
Well, they're not-
conference. I'm
they're
saying
not
but you
really
just
a Big
declared the
12 is not
gods
best
dead.
football.
They
I'm
really a
saying
Big
the
12
SEC is
team?
not the best football conference this year. Period.
I mean, Texas sort of Big 12.
Let's move on.
20 Ole Miss beats 24 Tulane 37-20.
SEC team.
The
Watch
SEC's
out.
back.
Beat Tulane. I mean, they're ranked, but
Oh goodness, Alex, you're gonna get
number 20 Ole Miss is who we're banking on to make SEC the best conference in football.
just wait till we get about 8 bullets down, Alex, for you just to probably get ripped into by somebody. 10 Notre Dame goes into Raleigh, survives weather delay, and the new video board being destroyed.
Did
in
not
Raleigh.
survive.
It gets a 45-24 winner for the Wolfpack.
And they're trying to say it got hit by lightning, right?
Still
Yeah.
nicer than Vanderbilt's. Even
I
broke.
was trying to see like a direct hit. That hit was not direct.
No, it probably just fried the box that it was like all connected to.
But that, like, if you see the video, the lightning hit was like a mile away.
Probably blew some kind of fuse. Something.
I'm worried about the wiring job on that video board.
Still better than Vandy.
Amen.
Well, no, Vandy's isn't even installed yet.
Right.
It may be the
Well,
best.
you know, it just
Yeah,
that
it just
would let me
can't.
tell you that would not have survived that weather. That would have fallen to the ground in a smash. Notre Dame looks
Nate,
good.
what do you think?
About the scoreboards,
Yes.
like Alex said, it's still better than Vandy's. I mean, Vandy's would have been swinging there, probably would have fallen and killed somebody.
Evacuate the stadium.
Yeah.
He would have never started again.
The stadium.
12 Utah escapes with the 2013 win over Baylor. When the hell is Cam Rising going to start playing?
I don't
But it
know.
matters.
They almost
That almost mattered.
they had to come back for that win.
Ooh.
App State tries to recreate the close game from last year against North Carolina, but ultimately the 17th ranked Tar Heels win 40-34. Wish it was another like 60. Was it like 63-60 game last year? That would have been cool again.
Yeah, I think went to overtime if I remember right.
This
Mhm.
one. This
Two
one.
overtimes.
This one went to one overtime, didn't it?
Now went to two.
Today. Okay, yeah. Or yesterday or whatever, Saturday.
One day.
Number 9 Tennessee gets off to a slow start, but ends up getting a win 30.
SEC powerhouse, barely squeaking by Austin P.
Yeah, but if you ask Jim though, Tennessee shouldn't even be ranked. They should be getting the book thrown at them.
We got number 8 Washington, so coming out of the Pac-12, taking care of business, 43-10 against Tulsa. That's a win.
And the word is Jim's. Yeah, that's a good win. Good win for them.
Number 6 USC, Pac-12, improves to 2-0, 56-10 win over Stanford.
That game shouldn't even count. It was way past my bedtime.
Okay, so games don't count if Jim's asleep.
No, they were out past curfew. Doesn't count.
Right.
Jim, what are you going to do whenever Ohio State starts playing on the West Coast?
Oh, that's gonna be a long night.
Jim's gonna have a lot of afternoon naps in his future.
A lot.
Number 4 Ball Florida State. I'm so Ball State. Look at the next one. Florida State rolls over Southern Miss 66-13. Florida State's probably going to win the national championship this year. Them or Penn State.
Florida State's going to make their way into the playoff because I don't think Clemson's got it.
Florida State looks good though.
They do look good.
And number 1 Georgia, who plays absolutely but nobody, routes Ball State 45-3. I don't know if I would even call it. I think route would be a strong word for Georgia, who's supposed to be number 1 over Ball State. If it was 60-3, if it was a Penn State score, yep.
All right, boss.
I'm just saying, I'm just not high.
You know
on
what?
the
You're
SEC.
right. They're dead. The SEC
I'm
is
saying they're
dead.
even dead. They're just not the best.
They're dead.
They're not the best conference in college football this year.
All right. Week 2.
BED.
Yep.
They're dead.
Mark my words.
They're dead.
Dead.
Good, Alex.
WV, though, let's talk about the real team here. WV gets off to a slow start, but takes down the Dukes of Duquesne 56-17, priming them for the backyard brawl this week.
They're
Alex, how are you
1-1.
feeling? I'm feeling nervous as hell because I do not want to lose this game, but am nervous as hell.
I would put money on WVU. Pitt looked like shit against Cincinnati.
They did, but that's why I'm not getting myself. It is setting me up for failure. That WVU looked decent. Granted, it's against Duquesne, so I didn't get excited really about that. But Pitt did look bad. But does Pitt bounce back and make corrections and kick our ass? It's in Morgantown, which is a different environment than. I mean, not that Pitt really had a home field advantage at Heinz Field, but I want to shout out to West Virginia player out of Martinsburg who had 8 touchdowns in the 2021 West Virginia State High School Football Championship. Hudson Clement was awarded a scholarship after the game. He had 3 touchdowns, and his stats between his yards and having 3 touchdowns were matched only by wide receivers Stedman Bailey with 2 games and Tavon Austin with 1 game in West Virginia history. So let's take a positive. I'm not going to get many positives this WV season. He looked good.
There it is.
I'm glad I could wrap that up for you.
The AP top 10 is Georgia still atop, Michigan, Florida State. Texas moves up to number 4. USC goes to 5. Ohio State 6. Penn State 7. Washington 8. Notre Dame moves up to 9. Alabama drops to 10.
That ranking is already bullshit.
Clemson falls out of the top 25.
They should.
Jim, what's your ranking?
Should be Georgia, Florida State, Michigan, Texas, USC, Penn State, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Alabama,
Where's Washington?
Washington's top.
Just because you can't watch them, Jim, doesn't mean they're not good.
I think I was going to say, just because they play after you go to sleep, again, it really happened. I think Washington's above Alabama. They've won
I don't care.
and won by a lot.
I don't care.
Alabama's lost.
Games of note this upcoming week. LSU takes on Mississippi State. South Carolina travels to Georgia. Minnesota travels to North Carolina. Washington going to Michigan State. And Tennessee is going to Florida. And the backyard brawl. Pitt traveling to Morgantown to take on the Mountaineers of West Virginia.
Colorado State. Apparently that's a big deal.
I'd be worried about the Michigan State catching Washington. That's what I'm saying.
With the Mel Tucker drama.
I don't know. We'll see.
I would have been worried about it if maybe not worried about it, but I think I would have more.
So are you a Pac-12-ish fan, or what are you?
I kind of am a Pac-12 stan this year. I think I'm more excited when you say like a Nick Saban revenge tour and stuff now that he's lost. I'm like, this is the Pac-12 year where they're like they're gonna have a great effing year and then they're gonna disband. And you're like, why didn't that conference stick around? Like that was a great conference finally.
It's gonna be like the Big East in basketball.
Yeah.
So who do you think is the best conference right now?
Right now, probably the Big Ten. Until proven otherwise.
Okay. And you're basing that on which teams?
Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan. And then when you go to the Pac-12, I look at Washington, USC, and then, Colorado until they get beat.
What about Oregon?
Yeah.
Oregon. So you look at the Pac-12, maybe they have a better fourth than the Big Ten.
I don't know. What do you count Oregon? Do you count them as Pac-12 because that's where they are currently?
Yeah, I'm talking about where everything is about where you are currently. I think the top three teams in the top three teams in the Pac-12 and the top three teams in the top two teams in the Pac-12, top three teams in the Big Ten, I think beat like a Tennessee out of the SEC. They definitely beat, Tennessee. I think mostly could beat Alabama based on the Alabama that showed up the other night.
Oh my God.
The Alabama that showed up the other night.
They lost to a great Texas team.
Okay, I think Penn State's a better team than Texas.
Okay.
So I'm
I'll tell you
saying
who doesn't
Texas
beat
can beat
Alabama
them.
right now.
And I think that
Ohio State doesn't beat Texas right now.
Michigan.
Doesn't beat Texas right now.
So you say there's one good school out of each.
Yeah.
I just don't. My argument isn't that the SEC sucks. My argument is that they're not. They have always notoriously, I feel like, for the last however long, been the best conference in football. I mean, you've had in the last couple of years Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee. I don't think that it's all that, and
Let me put it this way. Okay. Let me ask this question. Does Penn State beat Georgia?
yes.
Muff?
I'm not going to go that far.
Nate?
Yeah, I'm with Muff. I'm not going that far until I see otherwise from Georgia.
You're not going to. They don't play anyone.
Today, the Penn State, none of us but you think Penn State right now can beat Georgia.
Okay.
That's
Sign
our
up.
and
I'll
the
call
Big
the
Ten,
NCAA and arrange it for next week.
Big Ten right now, who I think would represent the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Okay. USC or Colorado, who wins in that battle between the two of them?
We'll find out here in a couple weeks.
Yeah. Probably.
Alex.
That's a tough one to pick between the two.
Pick, gun to your head.
How come we do this? You don't answer this question.
I'll answer it right now. I think USC wins.
I was going to pick USC, gun in my head.
USC beat Georgia?
No, probably Georgia wins. But I'm saying depth. I'm not saying the top best team. I'm saying what is the depth behind Georgia? How many great SEC?
They don't give national titles to the depth. They give it to the best champion.
That's fine. I'm not saying that the national champion won't come out of the SEC. I said.
Well, then how can you say a conference is dead?
I never said they were dead. I said this was their down year. I said they are not the best conference in college football.
But if they have the champion, they're the best.
I said Alabama was probably dead. I think the Alabama reign of terror is dead for this year.
SEC will probably right now win the national championship.
If they do, it's because Georgia won it.
Then the SEC is not having a down year.
I think overall as a conference.
Okay, stop. Conferences don't win national championships. Teams do.
Yes.
Conferences win bowl season challenges.
Yes.
Teams win national championships.
I think that I could see more bowl teams coming out of other conferences and doing well and winning their bowls.
If you stack up the SEC against the Big Ten, only one team right now I think comes out on top.
I don't. I think you put Georgia, Penn State. Even if you want to say Georgia wins that game.
Okay.
I think you put out. I think Ohio State could play with Alabama.
Then Michigan goes against Alabama.
And then who does Michigan go against? Or
Michigan goes Michigan. Then they would probably go against Tennessee.
Okay, and I think they'd smoke Tennessee this year.
I think it'd be a dogfight, but so that's two. It's now 2-1.
I'm glad we're doing this after week 2 because we have all of the information.
Well, because that's a great point, Muff. Because he's saying the conference is down after week 2.
I am, and we'll reconvene at week 5.
Fine.
We'll revisit.
You guys are going to reconvene this every week. Somebody's going to say something off the cuff, potentially unintelligent, and then you guys are going to get into an argument again.
The sermon at church today was about how the more you talk, the more likely it is that you say something unintelligent, and I really think that applies to Jim and I often.
I think we just found it. Believe, Alex, you did not listen to the message. You may have listened, but you didn't hear it.
I want to hear from Nate. He says very little, but usually it's great.
No, you two went on your rant, and I just been zoned out.
Is the SEC having a down year?
Too early to tell.
Thank you. Next topic.
It's the first 2 weeks, and nobody plays anybody except for a couple teams that do some good non-conference.
I had to mute myself so it'd stop interrupting.
I should have muted both of you earlier.
Yeah, come on, Jim Rome. Where's your mute button?
You guys needed it. All right, other news in college football. Speaking of the Pac-12, all those teams that are leaving, Oregon State and Washington State filed a legal complaint against the Pac-12 and Commissioner George Kliavkoff on Friday, seeking an emergency temporary restraining order to protect what the schools see as an imminent and existential threat to the future of the conference. Now, obviously, we know the future of the conference is very, we'll just say,
Dim.
yes. They got that little dim switch and they just keep pulling it down, down, down. Biggest thing about this is money.
Shocker.
Specifically, those schools are worried because obviously there are more schools leaving than not, that they can hold some type of meeting, emergency conference, board meeting, whatever they hold. And those schools can say, oh, yeah, of course we want to divvy up all of the money that's sitting in this Pac-12. And yeah, we want to dissolve the conference because we can overpower these 2 schools that are left and say, yeah, we're getting just as much money as you for this $150 million or whatever it may be. So screw off. Figure it out later. We're getting this money. Bye. It's pretty much what this comes down to. It's coming down to the money again. What do we think is going to happen with this? Is Oregon State and Washington State going to get anything anywhere with this complaint, or is this going to fall to the wayside?
I think it's a legitimate complaint.
I agree with
if
you.
they're the 2 people left standing, yeah. And is there not buyouts for them leaving? Like, shouldn't there be even more money? I mean, I'm no contract lawyer by any means, but they've decided to leave. And the 2 left holding the bag should not only have the naming rights of the Pac-12, but also should have the funds that the other schools pay to leave.
The conference should, right?
Right.
But again, I agree that they should have say in the conference's decisions moving forward.
And then should have the rights to add whoever the hell they want.
Yeah, it's got to be a vote between those 2.
Right.
They're the only 2 left. Who else's opinion should it be?
So they should be able to take the funds from everybody else leaving and rebuild the conference if they so choose. Now, if they go drop a division, they're not a Power 5, whatever, but it's their rights to choose in my mind. I'm, again, not a lawyer, but that makes sense.
I'm on board with that decision and that thought in every way. We'll see where this goes. I have a feeling this is going to be a huge legal battle for the next 6 to 10 months. So more to come. SMU.
Well, wait, does that would set a precedence then?
If it's legal precedent, yes.
Right.
But I don't know.
This is kind of groundbreaking.
Yeah, it would that be a state decision? I don't know where this would get handled in the court system. Like, I don't know where the complaint is filed. Is it filed in a local thing? Is it a state court? It's not federal court.
I think it'll be more than months that this would take. This is going to be a battle, and potentially a cool battle in terms of what impact it will have on college football. As terms of mega conference, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Long term, when they go to break off the Big Ten and the SEC, and we end up splitting it into whatever it becomes down the road, what this becomes, this decision will impact that.
Right.
Like, do these small schools hang on for power?
Right.
In a small, like, do we just hang on till the end instead of jumping ship?
Right.
And then there's 3 of us left to make our own little, maybe not, like you said, not Power 5, but a solid conference, and we get to be in charge of it, basically.
Yeah, one thing, Jim, I'm not sure about is I don't know how much of a buyout there is because they don't have a media deal after this year. Remember, that was all the smoke screen, is that all of these other schools didn't show up to vote on it the day that they were voting on extending a media deal or figuring that out.
Which is, I get it, but there's still the contractual obligation of, if you leave my conference, you have to pay us money.
Yeah, but I think that's mostly tied to the media deals.
Oh yeah, I guess my whole point in the precedent is Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, the teams that will leave for a bigger conference, right? you're probably not going to take Rutgers, Maryland, maybe the Indianas, right? So they're going to get left out. What is their recourse when that happens? This should settle that.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I want to know what happens.
More to come. SMU board chair David Miller raised $200 million from boosters in order to forego all ACC media dollars for 9 years, which was part of them joining the ACC as a new member of that conference. Let's talk about Pony Excess again.
What the fuck?
Literally, how quickly did they raise a fifth of $1 billion so that they can make this work and not have to worry about those media dollars?
Mind blowing. And if I were an academic chair, anything to do with the academics.
That was just about to be the words out of my mouth. How many colleges across the country right now do you see shutting down programs or shutting down whole schools because they're hurting for money? When all you need is a boosters program that'll give you $200 million.
I would burn something down. That is insane.
That's football, baby.
Just football boosters.
They raised, it said from boosters. I mean, that could be any number of people. I mean, ultimately, this is for the football program. So I'm assuming they are all pretty exclusively involved in the football part of the operation.
I'm giving this as a football booster money. Like, I want this money to go to the football program.
Sure. And that's, I guess the counter argument is if you're head of the political science department and you go to raise a fuss, like, why can't you raise that money for academics? The counter argument is, well, the boosters are only here. These boosters are only here for football. But
we can't make them give their money to political science if they don't want to.
Sure. But like,
yeah.
What are you doing then to find boosters for academics?
Not looking far enough.
Well, and you would think some of the academics, and like this isn't like in a school like SMU, you would think like some of the academic departments, like a business department, like you would think that would be like, okay, a lot of the successful businessmen that are probably really wealthy came out of that department. So when it comes down to it, like, are you like, hey, we need a new business lab. Like, we need $200 million.
Alex,
find some people.
Let's think about something very quickly here.
Okay.
This is Texas. This is SMU.
It's
football. They may not even gone to SMU. They just be fans or have a family that have gone there at some point. These are potentially, I'm not saying all of these are potentially people that are sitting on just stacks and stacks of oil money.
Yeah, isn't the Bush family tied to SMU?
That I don't know.
I don't know about SMU or not, but
I'm pretty sure a political family is tied to SMU.
Probably.
I'm almost 100% on that one. So like, I get that, Muff. Great point, but like, I don't know how you sit as a board member, a board chair. He's a chair, and sit with good conscience and go, "Hey, I got $200 million for sports
stuff."
Sam, what could you do with $1 million for Harper and Company?
Oh God, I could do a lot of things. First, I'm buying myself a building to have all my craft stuff in.
All right, let's play with that for a second.
Okay.
A building would run you, depending on what kind of building, let's give you $250 of that. Now you're down to $750.
Okay.
What else you got?
Buy a bunch of heat presses, couple crickets, because like sometimes I could stand to have a few of them going at once.
Okay.
All the vinyl I could ever ask for. Lots of organization things like shelving and racks and such.
You might be at another $250, maybe.
Yeah, and then invest some of it in craft companies like Michael's. And
why?
To keep them in business so that I can keep buying.
You don't need to invest in them. You're buying from them. You're fine.
I think you're thinking way too small scale here, Sam.
Yeah, Sam.
Okay, and then I'm gonna like make it super big and hire people to do my marketing.
Bingo.
And pay money.
There we go. That's what I was waiting for. Scaling, employees, people.
And I pay my sister because currently she works for free, and
that's important.
There's a giant
I'll pay my mom too.
George Bush has a George Bush Presidential Center that is connected to SMU.
I thought he was hooked.
Yeah.
I think he went to Texas though.
No, he went to like Yale and then Harvard.
Oh yeah, that's
yeah,
right.
he's part of the Skull and
he's-
Bone Society,
Yeah.
but he's got that oil money down there.
But you're right. He probably grew up like an SMU fan.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Mac Brown, in addition to having a ranked football team this year, is calling out the NCAA for dragging its heels in transfer wide receiver Devontae Walker's case, who has not yet been ruled eligible for the Tar Heels. He is presumably their number one receiver, and he transferred from Kent State, where he played 2 seasons after a year at North Carolina Central, where he did not play because this was the COVID year. He enrolled in North Carolina in January, just days before a revised rule to limit waivers for 2-year transfers the NCAA put down. Basically, Walker's journey has been interesting. It's obviously multiple years. I think this is his 6th year. And one of those years was when he moved back home to help care for a family member and be around a family member. And Mac Brown's calling out the NCAA saying, they say they're about helping kids, but all they've done is add to the very mental health issues Tez has been dealing with that made him want to get closer to home to begin with. You can't say you're about helping kids and then show a total disregard for the kids you're supposed to be helping. It's clear they are about process and not people.
They're about control. That's what they're about. Good for Mac for standing up.
And one of the
Nothing
good things
doing
the NCAA could have done, and they're like, no.
Could have just figured this one out, but no, we're not going to do it. Anything else from the college football world? Oh, that's right. We have one more thing. Jim, what's your new fantasy football team name?
I forget what it is. Hold on, Muff. My new fantasy football team's name. Number 1, Chanticleer Hater.
Chanticleer.
Chanticleer Hater.
And why do you have a new name, Jim?
Because Muff was right on the argument of how the division champions are seeded.
I want everyone to know I cannot change new team names as the commissioner of the Fantasy Football League. That's like the one thing I cannot do. So I gave Jim 3 options, and he chose number 1, Chanticleer Hater. So
And the other 2 options were
Michigan related, and I wasn't going to.
4's up for Harbaugh.
4's up for Harbaugh, and ex-Michigan, number 1 ex-Michigan fan.
I really wanted it. 4's up for Harbaugh. I actually thought was hilarious.
so you give him an easy way out.
I wanted to change my fantasy name, and Nate told me all my ideas were stupid.
You control your team, Sam.
I know.
You can change your team name every day of the week if you want.
He said that they were dumb and people would make fun of me.
Yeah, he didn't tell you couldn't.
Yeah, he warned you.
What were they? Give us one. Give us one.
The draft, so
Yeah, for those of you, wait, what was the guy's name? I want to see if anybody else even knows this guy. Hold on.
let me pull up his name.
So Sam, being the expert at football, drafts a defensive player on her team, and I said, Sam, who in the hell even is this guy?
Was it Jones? No.
Yes.
Was it Plaxico Burress?
No, she drafted
Oh yeah, Jones.
Marcus Jones. Now, without looking up, what position and what team? Go.
I'm
I don't
gonna
know.
guess defensive back, but no idea otherwise.
Okay, anybody guess what team?
Baltimore.
Redskins.
Uh-oh.
Alex. I mean, I know that people are starting to say that maybe you can start saying that again, but you can't say that again.
So
I don't even know how that came out.
So again, my point is proven. Marcus Jones is a corner for the Patriots.
Yep.
So nobody's heard of this guy.
Okay, so here's what happened. I'm on the floor making shirts doing my draft. Nate is on the couch doing his draft. And he says, just pick whoever is rated highest if, like, you don't know them. And I'm like, okay. So I pick him because he was rated the highest for defense. And I pick, send it in, whatever, and Nate goes, seriously, what are you thinking? Who even is this guy? Where did you even learn about him? Why would you pick him? I can't believe you did that.
Listen, if these guys haven't heard about this guy, I'm like,
Okay, well, he scored 2.5 points today, so
Woo!
he was estimated to get 0.
I think, okay.
He outperformed.
He did.
Okay, Sam. So what were you going to name your team? Or is this already started?
I wanted to name it something with glitter, or Craft Queen, or I know nothing about football, but Nate told me those were all dumb.
I don't recall this conversation whatsoever.
All right. Other interesting news in sports. Starting out in the tennis.
in sports.
Starting out in the tennis world. Coco Gauff loses her first set, then rebounds to win the final 2 and take home the U.S. Open final on the women's side over the weekend. Men's winner is Novak Djokovic and ties the all-time majors win mark at 24. He's tied with Margaret Court for a mark that many believed would never be caught. Do we think he's going to surpass it before he retires?
Yes.
Probably.
Here we go. Okay. Other interesting news from people that put the other interesting news in there.
Hall of Fame defenseman Chris Chelios for the Blackhawks will have his number 7 jersey retired at a pregame ceremony in the United Center on February 25th. The news was revealed at a Pearl Jam concert at the United Center. He's good friends with the frontman Eddie Vedder, who was brought out on stage. He brought Chris out on stage to make the announcement. I just think that's freaking amazing.
That's cool.
That is. I'm just curious how many Blackhawks fans were in the crowd.
Fuck ton.
Were there?
I've been to a show. I went to a Rolling Stone show in Chicago at the United Center, and the Blackhawks fans just dominated that show.
The what fans?
The Blackhawk fans.
Okay.
Like that town's nuts. And then after the show, I went to a Blackhawks bar and watched a hockey game.
What's Chicago's hockey team's name again?
Blackhawks.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
You got a perverted mind. God bless.
This is what it's like talking to you and Alex half the time. Let's be honest.
All right. And lastly, number 5 in the UFC middleweight, Sean Strickland stuns. Man, I've been practicing this. So Israel Adesanya. I did it. I did it. Yay. To win the UFC middleweight title. Epic fight. Sean Strickland, though, he has said some ignorant things, but he says is joking. I don't know if he's our guy or not, which is why I bring this news up to us. Great fight. Press conference was pretty funny. But I would like us to do research, not tonight, but research down the road to see if he's our guy or do we shun him.
We already have a UFC guy.
Didn't he make fun of Izzy's dead dog or something on accident?
Yeah. Yes.
I think he didn't realize it was the dog was dead.
Yeah, he puts his foot in his mouth a lot.
Yeah.
Kind of like
but
you
we do that.
Right. That's what I mean.
So I'm like, do we relate or is he an asshole and we're not?
Right.
I mean, Derek Lewis is our guy.
Yeah, but it's okay to have more than one guy. He's our heavyweight.
They're not our guy. I don't like this. We have to have a guy.
All right, well, fine. But it was pretty fun.
I mean, we need a new team in college football since you hate Coastal Carolina now.
I hate you, Muff.
No, my cousin goes to Coastal Carolina. Just now I'm getting like we have family ties now. And at least an Uncle Rod's kid goes to Coastal Carolina. We can't hate them.
Well, I have to on my name.
You have to hate them for this year.
Just a name only.
Yeah. They're still our guys.
Yeah. I hate you, Muff.
Okay.
Okay. Now, questions for the boys. This is
one thing before you get into your questions. I just saw this on X. Apparently,
you're not supposed to say that.
Sorry.
You of all people cannot say that.
Literally sounds like a porn site.
And you, who make fun of it the worst, cannot say that.
So anyway,
Where did you get it?
What?
Where did you get this information?
Somewhere on social media. So UNC Board of Trustees is set to hold an emergency meeting today, Monday, September 11th, to receive a legal update regarding an athletics matter.
That's weird.
That is ominous.
Could be the
Player
The player.
I don't know.
or nefarious.
It's an update, so it's got to be something that's been ongoing.
That's weird.
Watch it be like the field hockey coach is being fired.
Yeah, probably.
There we go.
All right, ready for questions for the boys.
Bingo. Go.
So, former guest on the show, Noah, ran his mouth to another person in one of my group chats who happens to be a Patriots fan and says, based on today's performance, that the Patriots will not win more than 7 games. So, my question for you all is over under 8 wins for the Patriots.
Push.
Under.
You all say that they're going to win under 8. All
I
right.
said push.
Unless Jerry Stevenson starts playing better.
Okay.
What I saw today, but it's only week 1, so I'm not judging him.
All right. Wow. Did not see that coming from you guys. Okay. Question 2. How do we feel about Tom Brady being honored at the Patriots situation?
It's appropriate.
I mean, you knew it was going to happen. It's just a little odd the way they were wording it. Like, oh, we never really gave Tom a true goodbye. It's like, okay, so.
They had a whole commercial about it.
Yeah, I thought that whole video.
Wasn't that like a Hulu commercial or something stupid?
Maybe they're saying not in person. Like,
Yeah, I mean, you knew he was going to eventually come back and they were going to like honor him or something in some capacity, but.
And what did they expect? He just got done playing.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you. I'm with you.
I think it's reasonable. I mean, he has spent so much time there and did so much for that.
Okay. I saw a TikTok about this. You have front row tickets to a WNBA game. Okay.
Mhm.
You're in Seattle. You're not in a local market that we like Pittsburgh. So let's say you're in Seattle, New York. You're on a trip. Okay. In fact, let's make it New York, but Sam can't answer because I know. Well, Sam can answer. That's fine. She's good. Okay. You're in New York. You have front row tickets to a WNBA game.
Mm-hmm.
A New York Giants promoter walks up to you and says, "Hey, you get 2 free tickets to opening day, opening kickoff. Do you leave the WNBA game to go to the Giants game?"
Yes.
Yes. I would do it for any basketball game. Because we all know that I don't give a rat's ass about basketball.
Alex.
Yeah, probably. Just because I don't know though. I like basketball, so it's not my team.
Right.
So there's a chance if I'm having fun and it's like a competitive game that I'd stay. Because I've never seen a WNBA game.
And it's New York.
Yeah.
Like that WNBA team's not bad.
No.
But guess what? I'm gonna buy a ticket for the next game.
That's also a good point.
But it's a front row ticket.
Probably
They'll
keep
probably cheaper
If
than
Right. If I was able to buy one of those, I'm assuming that I can probably buy another one for another game later in the season.
That's
I
fair.
can't go to opening night kickoff, but once a year.
That's also fair.
Plus tonight's was kind of cool because tomorrow's 9/11. So it was in New York. Not that it's actually in New Jersey, but it's close enough to New York. And they did some cool things pre-show, it looked like.
I don't know. Based on the way the Giants look right now, I might want to change my mind. They're currently going
They're getting this destroyed.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Last question. Okay. Which sideline do you want to be a part of? I'm going to give you 3 options. Okay. Texas sideline, USC sideline, Colorado sideline. And I don't mean as a player. You are a spectator. Which sideline do you want to be a part of? And it's at a home game. So the atmosphere, the weather, all play a factor here.
This past week, I just said Texas because it was really funny watching Pat McAfee and Matthew McConaughey on the sidelines. But usually, probably Colorado because I think I'd like the weather better for one, and 2, there's probably a weekly show.
Muff.
So I'm gonna do process elimination here. I'm not gonna be as interested in USC as maybe I would have been 10-ish years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like just like who's going to the LA Lakers games now, I don't care about. Like these celebrities are people I don't care about. So I think the USC thing's gonna be more of that those names don't resonate with me. Texas, I feel like it's just like the SMU thing. It's a whole bunch of really rich people that have a bunch of money that I probably don't know or care about. And that's just Matthew McConaughey. Then that's pretty cool. So I think at least Colorado. I think we'll go for Colorado.
Odd pick for you, but all right. Nate.
I'm with Alex. I'm going to Colorado. I have no interest in going to be on the sideline at Texas. USC would be cool for a home game to be in the Coliseum there.
Thank you.
But I think with all the scenery and the hype to go around Colorado right now, I think that'd be too good to pass up.
I'm going to USC. I want to be in the Coliseum. I think the atmosphere would be nice. Plus, after the game, like where are you going after the game for Colorado?
You're in the state of Colorado, so you can go wherever you want if you catch my drift.
Got it.
You can go for a ride, Jim. May even be in a balloon.
But I'm pretty sure you can do the same in California too.
I don't want to.
Yeah, but can you do it? But in California, you can't do it with Dion.
You can do it with Snoop.
That's true. Dion, I don't think Dion partakes either.
No, and you wouldn't be able to keep up with Snoop.
That's also true.
Well, okay. I don't want to go to LA. Let me just put it out real quick. I don't want to have to work. I don't have to drive around to get around places in LA. I don't want to have to go in traffic. I think Colorado is one of those places I can probably get places pretty quick after that game.
Honestly, that's why USC got ruled out for me. I have no desire to go to California.
Yeah, but the history in that place, man.
All right, old man on the porch, we get it.
I'm sorry. I'm tapping into that. Sorry. All right. Well, that's questions for the boys.
All right, and that wraps up this week's episode of Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff. As a reminder, we have the betting show out on Thursday morning. Remember, we're on a heater. We are on a heater as a show. We have a lot of good things to come up with that. Remember to follow Sports Stuff with Jim Muff at Sports Jim Muff on Instagram and Twitter. Sports Stuff /Jim Emerson Muff on Facebook, on YouTube. Subscribe, comment, rate, review, poke, like, tickle.
Get the bell on.
Do the things for us to continue to go up, up, up and away, just like the people do in Colorado. You have to tell a friend, make a friend, be